and let's go get a relic. I'm waiting for there to be a blacksmith in the other place, but fuck it. I'm going getting a fucking relic right now. Fucking in it. Ooh, you? I've seen him in Homestead. He's no cook. Oh, he did seem to have some mean-looking blades packed away with his cooking supplies. Do you think he's a threat? He seems to want to help. He seems to want to help humanity. Well, that's a relief. Enough bad folks out there as it is. Good to know there's at least one guy out there fighting the good fight. How about that bowl of soup? Here you go. Wow, that was actually not terrible. Thanks. Well done, you didn't kill me with food poisoning. And here's the two new things. Inferno and Rampage. I need a Severed Claw and Vicious Spikes. And for this, I need Enchanted Flint. This Enchanted Flint will impact a Spirit of Flame within any weapon it caresses. Molten Skin. A thick layer of skin from a fire creature. A Radiant Gem. A reflective gem that shimmers with the elements. To me personally, I'm tempted towards Calamity. Then, yeah, I'm tempted towards Calamity. Yeah. Remember that damage is per brimstone projectile, as far as I'm gathering. So yes. Combine. Hopefully I made the right course of action. That was delayed. Oh, and it's already in the slot. Beautiful.
I hope you figure something out with Homestead soon, or I'm going to have to make some difficult decisions. There's not enough food to go around as it is. Come winter, we will all be doomed. It's going to be impossible to travel with so many people when the snow hits. We will have to leave sooner than that and hope for the best out on the road.
Which wouldn't be a good idea. I'll see if I convince them. Yeah, that would not be a good idea in the slightest. They will be fact. Anyway, back to Homestead. So, how far up on the map am I now? Right. Oh, good. Oof. It's just like a conga line up here now. Oh, good. There's a bit more to the game. I was concerned I was nearly done. But there's plenty of empty spaces on the map. Plenty more, places to be added in DLC. There is one expansion in the works now. I think it might be nearing completion. It'll probably be out by the time this is out due to backlog. Like I said in an earlier episode, that is something I'm working on now in reducing the backlog. One episode a day. That should help reduce it. It is a bit ridiculous. And some people might want to suggest a thing if it's going to be a year before it gets done, Of course, at the same time, one episode a day still mightn't be enough to really get rid of it too much if I'm recording like a nutter. I sit down for, say, 4 hours, 3 episodes. That's 12 episodes, 12 days. So, yeah. Still not 24 days like in the past, but still, it's a fair few. Moving on. Ooh, Yuvance. If you're looking for wares, speak to my father. Yuvance. Praetorian Zedley. Stay on your guard. The enemies of humanity are around us. Can you open the gates? I'm sorry, but we're under strict orders not to open the gates until Olgrim has reported in. I see. And got any stories from the front lines? I hope you've never have to meet the cult of Chaitan. They are deprived lunatics, traitors to humanity, who worship the very beings that threaten to destroy us all. If you've ever wondered if evil truly exists within the hearts of men, look no further than the Bloodsworn. And I just run the fuck away. Like, I have some of their rags in my bag. Douglas tells me that you're going out to the Thornsbury and Elmsworth farms. Hope you're as tough as you look. Them Furies should not be trifled with. I'll be careful. Dean O'Barrow, what brings you to Homestead? Can you tell me about it? Not much to tell. When the attack started, we gathered our neighbours and holed up in here as best we could. Things were starting to look pretty bad until the Legion showed up. Now we stand a fighting chance. If we don't start any trouble, we have enough to go around as it is. Doesn't the Black Legion protect you? As far as I can see, they're only here because it serves their purposes as a defensive location. They take what they want in the name of their dead emperor in order to better serve us. They won't even help us with the Damphirian infestation. Captain Sommer says they pose no threat. We'll see how much of a threat they pose when we all starve to death because the food runs out. I'll see what I can do. You fancy? No. I keep swearing I see the level up symbol there, but no, I don't. Ooh. Mine. Ooh, Creed. Come on. Up. Up, you dumbass. Okay. Black Legion scouting report. Actually, remember the scouting report we got in the other place? That was a, yes, this was for the Burwich survivors. The, Devil's Crossing people. It's just, I was thinking, I found two, I found two reports. Well, I was wondering, was this guy another scout of the, these guys? But no. Okay, Black Legion scouting report. I write this letter to report of extreme. I write this letter to report of extreme and disturbing ethereal activity in the north of Homestead. I set off to the foothills and made my way through the warren of low stone walls, fences, and occasional farmhouses. I was careful to move in secret and remain undetected from the horrors that still roamed the fields unchecked. I made it to the valley of two hills near the river when I witnessed something I can barely comprehend. An unearthly black pillar that was neither stone nor flesh, drifting slowly across the land, as would a low cloud. A sickly green glow burned at its core, and great writhing tendrils hung from somewhere underneath the shifting black shell. I watched in mounting dread as the unholy obelisk slowed, and then without warning, burrowed the hooks of the dangling tentacles into the ground. The ground began to wither and glow the same unwholesome green. It was then that the obelisk pulled itself into the ground, with this sound that made me feel as if the earth was dying. Began glowing so bright I could hardly look. Its power seeped into the ground, twisting and corrupting it. I lingered for nearly an hour in that place, and in that time a great distance around the obelisk had been changed. I was about to leave when the obelisk erupted from the ground and drifted to an untouched patch of land to begin the cycle again. We must act soon, or there will be nothing left to save. 6 regimental scouts of the Black Legion, Renault Oberarch. Christ. No wonder they fixate so much. Inquisitor Creed, 7th entry. Much time has passed since my last entry. Following my escape from Krieg's laboratory, I have raced against time and lost, passed through darkness and flame, and witnessed the ruin of the world as I knew it. Even as I assumed key figures in the capital were likely to be possessed by the entities we now call ethereals, I reasoned that it was only with support from within the capital that we could hope to thwart them. Any action that began from outside the capital could be spun as political rebellion and crushed with the Empire's own forces before the truth could be exposed. Thus I casted the dice and raced towards the heart of Urolan, trying to conceal myself as best I could. Upon arrival, I proceeded cautiously, booking a room at a squalid inn near the west gates in an effort to keep my arrival secret. Initially, I sought out old acquaintances, assuming I could detect if some change in personality or behavior, in my revealed possession. A few awkward reunions made it painfully obvious that years on the road, carrying out my duties as an inquisitor, had left me out of touch and unable to discern whether any changes were a result of possession or just a passage of time and faded memories. The only gamble left then was to report back to the citadel of the Luminari and see what came of it. I never made it there. Waiting until the sunlight dwindled and the crowds thinned in the streets below, I rose to leave, but was quite startled to see that a shadowy figure had somehow silently breached my room, evading all the wards set against intruders. This is how I came into cooperation with the First Blade. Olgrim. His 8th entry. It was known that anyone of significance who fomented discontent or posed a real threat to the rule of the Emperor might be visited by the First Blade. I had never stirred such controversy, but I always imagined if such an encounter took place, I could put up a respectable fight. I never got a chance. Taken unawares, I was disarmed before I even knew what was happening. Had he sought my death, I would have not even witnessed the killing stroke fall. However, he seemed more interested in answers instead, and in turn provided me with an account of his own events that confirmed my worst fears. Huh? Fuck. Let me just read this again, then I'll read this. It was known that anyone of significance who fomented discontent or posed a real threat to the rule of the Emperor might be visited by the First Blade. I had never stirred such controversy, but I always imagined if such an encounter took place, I could put up a respectable fight. I never got the chance. Taken unawares, I was disarmed before I even knew what was happening. Had he sought my death, I would not have even. I can't read. I would not have even witnessed the killing stroke fall. However, he seemed more interested in answers instead, and in turn provided me with an account of his own events that confirmed my worst fears. The first. Let me take a quick drink. The First Blade revealed that only days prior, he'd been forced to turn his knives on the Emperor himself, by his own command. Despite the myriad safeguards protecting the Emperor, but one day in Arcane, he'd become host to an ethereal. A true strength of mind, he'd usurped his possessor long enough to summon the First Blade, command his own execution, and charge the assassin with ensuring that his son, the young prince, survived to reclaim the throne. His last commands issued, the Emperor's consciousness slipped once again under control of the ethereal, and a desperate battle ensued. The First Blade reported that he believed the Emperor and the ethereal within him slain, but given his inexperience with the entities, he could not say for certain. He related that he had secretly taken the prince and put him into hiding, but declined to elaborate. The First Blade said he intended to retire his imperial title and had chosen the name Olgrim, which made me curious as to whether this was an intentional reference to the mythical character. A final troubling detail was that no proclamation of the Emperor's passing had been issued. Not only did this demonstrate the Ethereals had sufficient control of the palace to conceal the death, but given that they couldn't hope to hide the Emperor's absence for long, it was suggested that the next phase of their operation was imminent. I strategized with Olgrim long into the night, formulating a plan to counter the Ethereals, but ultimately we agreed that we could not defeat their conspiracy in time. The only course left was to gather whatever people and resources we could, go to ground, and weather the coming storm, then find a way to counter the invaders. We agreed that the Black Legion would be our best hope in securing allies. As a conscripted army of criminals, debtors, and political dissidents bound to service, it seemed unlikely that the Ethereals would have any reason to infiltrate them when they could control them indirectly through the military high command. The next step was to discreetly make contact. The Black Legion, that's all they are. Criminals, debtors, and political dissidents. And it was just the Black Legion. Makes them sound like elite badasses, you know? But they're slaves, basically. Well, maybe it's hard to say slaves, but they're just conscripted people. You know, they not necessarily, elite warriors or anything. They're just, well, I'm sure some of the criminals might be good with a blade, but or same with the debtors and political dissidents, but it's not an inherent thing, I was expecting more. But I'm sure they're plenty experienced now.
I hear you dragged Olgrim's sorry ass out of Deadman's Gulch. Good work. Come see me later. Perhaps we can put your skills to some use.
I take it you don't like Olgrim. Let's just say Olgrim and Black Legion have a history. I see. I'm sure he's put plenty... I'll question if he's put plenty of them there, but... I doubt they get along regardless. Oh, Creed! Here you are!
Death, and no end in sight.
I have some questions. If you have something to say, make it quick. How did you escape Warden Krieg's lab? As an Inquisitor, I had access to many occult artifacts and relics that would come into the safekeeping of the Illuminati. Some that were deemed more benign were occasionally lent out to veteran Inquisitors, and I've used them to great advantage. Krieg underestimated that. Can I have some? These aren't toys that we just hand out to everybody. They're powerful artifacts that have to be handled carefully. Besides that, they're now irreplaceable as the Vault Illuminati has fallen into hands for enemies. I can only hope that the Ethereals never discern the power of some of the more potent objects within the vaults, or at least wise enough not to use them. In any case, I'm afraid the answer is no. Another question. What does an Inquisitor do? The Inquisitors of the Illuminati were responsible for investigating and eliminating any supernatural threats within the Empire. That could mean from breaking up an occult coven to securing a dangerous artifact or even hunting down otherworldly creatures that occasionally cross the veil between realities. The cult of Chiron was one of the greatest challenges because at the root of it, the dying god, is beyond our reach or power to destroy. It has been with us since ancient times. Given their rise to power, it also seems to be one of our greatest failures. Farewell.
I wasn't sure you'd make it, but you pulled through. Those people owe you their lives.
I did what was right.
I wish that was the end of our troubles, but there is a mounting threat on the horizon that threatens to wipe us all out.
I got 8,000 experience and 500 Black Legion rep. Not any other rep. Like with Homestead, what you think I would. Should have kind of got both. Excuse me. I wonder if I'll ever run into any faction where gaining rep of one will reduce the other. And I don't mean like killing undead will reduce your rep with them and raise it with the rovers. But, you know, Homestead versus Devil's Crossing. Or, well, obviously not them, but, you know, two factions you can actually gain rep with. In their own way. So, you know. What do we do now?
I'm going to check in with Creed here, but I suggest you speak to Captain Sommer. She's the Black Legion officer in charge of this sorry bunch. Look for the grumpy middle-aged hag in Black Legion armor. She will fill you in on the situation.
I'll speak to her.
Still haven't talked to the captain?
Where is she? Yeah, repeated himself. Let's take a stroll over here. Anything of interest? Ooh. Nothing stands out. Let's have a look. Yes, let's make a random enchanted mace.
My inventory is full.
Ooh. Oh, it's all terrible. It's all terrible. Yeah, I don't think any he's the chance of making nice stuff, but I really shouldn't be gambling on it. Christ. That is nice. But at the same time, I want this. I suppose I could have both. Ooh. This is nice. It's tempting to have both. And actually, sorry, I could have both. That's a metal. These are rings. Yeah, I could have it. Could work it. Potent Creed's cunning. The Inquisitor's powder, given only to his most trusted allies, sparks with arcane energy. There's some nice gear here. It's level 70 stuff.
See you around. I'll give you a good price on what I've got left.
Let's sell off some stuff. You. I just can't justify it. I want to upgrade my weaponry, but I want, you know,